Hello, and welcome to another edition of Leafless, Not Lifeless. I'm Sharon Benjamin, your host. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, if you have a story to tell, if at some point in your life you seemed to have been leafless, but you were actually growing and developing, I'd love to hear from you. You may contact me at leaflessnotlifeless@gmail.com. So the impetus for the show is to share such stories, but also to talk to people who may not have had a leafless, not lifeless situation themselves, but they are keen enough to see other people who have potential and they help them, they encourage them to grow and develop. My guest is such a person today, Wanda Stansbury, who at first glance, I hear the conversation about her being community minded. However, there's a whole lot more to her. And she's been community minded for a long time, even from a kid. So, welcome, Wanda. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me on this amazing opportunity to share our story. Thank you, Sharon.
You are so welcome. So, as I said, I know you have been community minded since you were a kid from my previous conversations with you. How did you get involved with it? Tell us a little bit about Wanda Stansbury.
Well, again, I grew up in Red Bank, New Jersey, and a family that was very aware of where we were in the 60s and, the amazing social change that was occurring in the civil rights movement. And I became very interested in social justice issues as a teenager and got involved in the NAACP Youth Council at about age 12 or 11. And I remember when it was time to go to college and I wrote my essay. This brings me back to my high school essay in which I said that I wanted to go to college and learn how to improve the quality of life of the Black community. And I stayed as close to that statement of commitment as possible over the years. From my consulting practice that I was very blessed to establish in the 1980s. And after 40 years, retired and then went back into the work more as an advisory consultant on issues of urban policy and social change, economic development. So looking at the quality of life of the Black community and issues of equity and empowerment has always been a central theme of my life. Inspired by Fannie Lou Hamer and other great thinkers, James Baldwin, W.E.B. Du Bois. And with the Center for Child and Family Achievement, I was at a very interesting intersection in 2013 when I was invited to be on the board of Trenton Head Start. And at that time, I started thinking about making a more focused transition in my life to address the issue of child poverty, because elimination has always been a central theme woven through all of my work in research and technical assistance and all of the things that God has blessed me to do. And so this was a wonderful opportunity. Trenton Head Start was one of my first clients in my consulting practice. And here I was on the board. And from there, I began to get a real understanding of what the needs were, that the critical need of the hour at that time, I saw it as closing the achievement gap. That if we're going to make progress in our community as a people, that we had to look more closely at education and poverty and the impact of those things, how they work and how they work against the child, the Black child. So that's really how I got to the place where we began to seek a vision for what the next chapter would look like.
And so you mentioned the influence of some notables that a number of us have heard about and read about and seen their work, but you also had family influence that encouraged you in social justice, community work, correct?
Absolutely. Well, absolutely. My uncle, Randy Phillips, who was involved in the community action program in Monmouth County, was my mentor from a teenager. My father always encouraged us to pick up a book, read, have something to say, and make it count. Would be my father say something, and that's what I grew up with that courage. I was a Girl Scout. I love Girl Scouts. I still promote Girl Scouts. I recently received an award from the Central New Jersey Girl Scouts for my leadership in promoting Girl Scouts in urban communities, and I'm still doing that across the country. Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts. So my mother was always encouraging me. I was involved in debate clubs and debating issues in high school, and I was involved in the Black Student Union movement of the 60s. And so my family always encouraged education, leadership, and owning your voice. They called it other things, speaking with pride.
Exactly.
But so there were no stop signs. It was always go and say and be who you believe you can be. And so I was surrounded with that kind of positive, uplifting atmosphere in family and church growing up. And
you're still doing it now. You're still doing it now. So, Wanda, you wrote something that was published, some of your research. Tell us about that.
Well, again, in my work with management interventions, our product was always policy papers, white papers, responding to issues of economic justice, disparity, and minority and women businesses. So we're called upon as subject matter experts for over 40 years in those disciplines. And the Urban Women's Center model, which was signed into law, and I drafted that concept and owned the copyrights to it in 1985, became the interest of the Cornell University Empowerment Center. And they recognized us as one of 6 models in the world to address the comprehensive empowerment needs of grassroots women. So there are a number of research documents that follow my work in the area of placemaking. We recently developed the concept of what's called inclusive placemaking, which means that we understand the dynamic of how we bring communities into positive engagement in defining the future of their neighborhoods, and how communities have to have a voice in defining what their community should look like. So that's taken me into a lot of different arenas to share ideas. And currently I'm working at an advisory level with the University of California at Irvine on their Black Child and Family Lifestyle Study team, advising them on how to best reach the Black community and how to have a relevant response to how we connect people into that study. So the Center for Child and Family Achievement is informed, and our approach is always based upon research, gathering information. In the recent summit that I attended on education in Las Vegas, I went there with the intention of listening to teachers all over the country.
What did you do at this summit that connects? What is the common thread, the common strand with this summit and what you've been doing and what you're planning to do in the future?
I went to listen. I went to listen and learn. And we developed a model out of my consulting practice called Listen, Learn, Lead, and to help communities empower themselves. And so I live out that approach. So I went to listen, to learn, and then to be guided by the Holy Spirit as to how I would lead change in public education. Because public education, when we look at the pandemic, has been impacted in a horrific way. The Black child learner in public school, and the child of color, let's talk about the Black child learner. The Black child learner in public school entered into the pandemic performing 1 grade level behind. That was what the average child was, behind 1 grade level. Okay, modestly speaking. Where we are right now today in the pandemic, that same child now in September is really 2 to 3 grade levels behind their white counterpart. So we have a great deal of work to do regarding skills transfer, regarding motivating the parent and the child. How do we now address these learning deficiencies and these handicaps in learning? So I wanted to go and listen, and I talked to educators from all over the country when they were on their breaks, when I was in workshops with them over lunch, and I learned a lot. I was inspired by them, and it affirmed for me that I'm on the right track.
So Wanda,
The number one problem is poverty. That was the number one problem that educators shared across the country, particularly in the Belt and the Midwest. I said, what's the number one problem? They said poverty.
So now, when you went to this conference, you had already started the Child Center.
Oh yes, the Center for Child and Family.
You had started that. So when, and something you just said, you mentioned the grade level, the deficit that happened that was already in place before the pandemic, and now the deficit. So it sounds as if with the Child Center, so tell us about that. But I want to think about how what you just said, how you were kind of already doing that, trying to do things to bring students forward. Tell us about the beginning of the center, why you started it. Tell us a little bit about it. We're going to show some of what's going on there.
Okay, well, fast forward, going back a little bit in 2013 when I joined the board at Head Start, and I came back after several meetings, I met with my staff in Princeton, and I sat around the table and I said, you know, I'm interested in the achievement gap and how we impact the Black child learner and the family and what's going on. Because the research at that point in 2013 that I was looking at said that the fifth grader in America, the fifth grader in America, 65% of them who are Black learners in New Jersey, 65% are not reading on a third grade level. 65%. So, and then the research said at that point in 2013 that only that 60% of the children in America who live in poverty do not own 6 books, do not own 1 book. And that if we give a child 6 books, it inspires them to be a lifetime learner. So that started me on the journey, because the question for me in 2013, when I was on the board of Head Start, is how am I going to impact these educational and learning outcomes, not only for the child, but for the whole family. And so everything that I do from my teenage years to today is guided by, I need to have data to help me and information to inform what I do. And that came out of my reading as a teenager, The Philadelphia Negro by W. Du Bois. I read that book when I was in high school, and I still have it, and I pass it on. So he was the father of sociology, and everything that he did was guided by data and data sets and information. So the Center for Child and Family Achievement, I put together a team, and my daughter, Fania Gallo, headed up that team to develop what's called the proof of concept. I wrote the concept.
What is that?
The proof of concept, it means that that you as a thinker or a planner or a founder of something, that you have evidence to base your ideas on. And so I wanted a proof of concept, because I know that everything that I do from the last 40 years, right, has been based upon research of confirming and validating recommendations and ideas and guiding us. And so Dr. Stephen Payne of the Leadership Strategies organization in Princeton, who's a colleague of mine and a mentor, we brought him on this team, and we put together an instrument, and we surveyed families coming out of Trenton Head Start in 2014. I had already designed the idea of what I wanted. I prayed and I asked God to show me the vision, which he did. And it was called the Center for Child and Family Achievement, focusing on closing the achievement gap putting a toolkit in the hands of parents and children that would inspire them to read, inspire them to attend school, because the major issue then and still is today is school attendance. Attend school, and for parents to be fully engaged in learning and achieving with their child together, and that the home would become a learning environment for both parent and child. That's really the essence of the genesis of the Center for Child and Family Achievement.
Okay, Wanda, so let's do some sharing here of some of what's going on.
That answers your question.
Yes, that's what's going on at the center. So you mentioned your daughter as part of coming on and helping to get things together, but here's a picture also of your husband here.
Right, my husband Charles, again, as an educator, I've consulted with him on every aspect of the Center for Child and Family Achievement, because now is he an educator of over 30 years in the classroom and administratively, but also an author of children's books. So Charles and I work together very closely with the Center for Child and Family Achievement. And my daughter, her role more as a research associate, guiding data and information and informing our white papers. And Charles helping us to put together practical applications on how to help children build skill sets. So this is a wonderful.
What was this one about, Wanda?
This is a summer that we spent, I think it was the summer of 2018. And 2018, and we did a summer program called Reading is a Beach. And Ronalda, who is the woman who contacted me, said, we would like you to help us put together a reading program for our summer camp. And so we said, of course, we would love to be a partner with you. And so that took us on an amazing journey for an entire 9 weeks of the summer, working with them, conceptualizing what we would do. We set up a classroom situation in the public library. They had no funds for a building. So we helped them to identify, we did our program fund, 75% was done at a park, a local park. And then we went to the public library to do classrooms activities. And then we went to the beach to do reading. And some children of the group that we took, over 50% had never gone to the beach. They'd never gone to the beach. And so also that summer, I cannot, I have to mention my strategic partners who joined me with the Center for Child and Family Achievement, Susan Roeder Hansen, who is a leading philanthropist and continuous donor with us, and Christine's Hope for Kids, and One Simple Wish helped, and United Way helped us to give every child that summer 30 to 50 books for their home library. Every day of home books.
That's amazing.
And yes, it is amazing. And that was
you mentioned earlier how so many children do not have books in their homes.
Right.
So that's an incredible feat. And as I was going through the information that you sent me, I came up on this picture of all boys. And I thought to myself, sometimes what you usually see is girls reading. You see the girls, but here I'm just impressed. So is this a boys club or what is this?
Well, at our very inception, we intentionally, in our model, put together a focus on emphasis on the boy learner, the Black boy learner. And so at the Gregory School, which welcomed me as a community partner in we did our first book fair festival in the spring of 2015. And 2016, I was in the building. Michael Rosenberg invited me to come into the building, and I set up shop there. And we put together a boys book club. And it was just a group of boys who always loved to ask me for books. And when we did our books for breaks, we gave away books 4 times a year: Thanksgiving break, Christmas break, spring break, and at the end of the school year.
Why was that important? Wanda, why was that important?
It's important because we're building the home library, and Trenton is a city that only has one public library and no neighborhood libraries. Mm-hmm. And some of the children that we worked with in the building, and we're we're still at the Gregory School, right? So since 2016, we were actually in the building. So some of the children that we worked with, we gave them their very first book that they ever owned that they didn't have to return to a library or to someone. So this group of boys, we sort of like, they sort of like self-selected, because whenever I would give away books, they'd all say, Miss Wanda, can I have some more books? Or do you have a Diary of a Wimpy Kid? Or do you have Dr. Seuss? Or, and I would just love talking to them and, getting books for them. And when the school would do a book fair, I gave them each a coupon to buy their own books and as a gift. And this is a photograph of them. And they're standing in front of the Reading Oasis room, which is a partnership with the United Way. The United Way was our first literacy partner in 2014. I went to them for books and they never stopped giving. And they selected the Gregory School, the Center for Child and Family Achievement, to be the first site of their national reading program called the Reading Oasis Room. And that's the door right there that you see them standing in front of.
It's exciting to see them. Now, I know you give away books, but I'm looking here at this happy face with a shoebox. So, right. So the Center for Child and Family Development is not just about books.
No, it's about eliminating the barriers for learning. It's about understanding Maslow's needs hierarchy, which is another guide that I go to. When a child has the basic needs met, safety needs, what are the safety needs of a learner? It's I need to make sure that I have toothpaste, toothbrush, I have clothes to wear, I have shoes, I have a book bag, I feel good about myself. So our partner, One Simple Whoosh, provided for us that summer, and they still continue to do, hundreds of pairs of shoes for children to get started for school. Mm-hmm. And we gave them out at our summer camp, and then we later on gave them out at a major event at the Gregory School. And they've helped us to give out, they've blessed us to give out books, pajamas, coats. We do an annual coat drive, all the things that mitigate the trauma of being poor in America. There's nothing like a warm coat and a pair of boots. We've given some kids their very first pair of snow boots that actually have, the foam, the lining and gloves and hats. All of these things inspire a child to get up and go to school, and they help a parent feel good about their child.
I was about to say that as well, because when children are happy, then parents are likely to be happy as well. Because in spite of what we hear sometimes in the media or from other people, there really are parents who want to do better and so sometimes people aren't doing certain things because of their environment. It's almost like osmosis. So what are some other strategies, some other pieces that you put in place to make sure that the connection goes all the way through the family?
Well, we came up with a concept called the parent partner, and it's a part of our model. Parents partnering with us to inspire their children to learn and to achieve their fullest potential. And we have the Parent Cafe, which we hold on site at the school, which is a series of workshops that deal with life skill workshops, the family vision board, how to mitigate special education needs, communication skills in the family. We did an activity, which I sent you the photographs of building a literacy box. One day, one of our students came in and she said, Miss Wanda, I need a book. I need someplace to put my books. My mother said, I have to get rid of all these books. They're all over the place. So I gave her a box and she said, what about a library box? And I said, let's do that. So our next Parent Cafe, the next month, we had a workshop with about 40 parents and their children at the school with boxes that we bought from Home Depot and all kinds of construction paper and making library boxes. So we engaged the family learning together. McCarter Theater is also one of our partners. and they offer us tickets for families to see all of their family programs. We've hosted through McCarter Theater hundreds of families. In one year, we were blessed to have over 300 children and their parents attend A Christmas Carol. And now that McCarter Theater is opening back up to live audiences, we're looking forward to this year returning back to McCarter Theater, but giving them theater experiences, hosting them to go to the movies, whatever it takes to engage that parent and child. We just finished a series for the past 2 years on Zoom with the Rutgers University Extension Program, the Parent Cafe in a cooking class series, mindful eating, and helping parents to understand nutrition and portions, and parents and children cooking together, baking zucchini bread and sharing recipes. So that's been a wonderful project headed by Joan Healy at Rutgers, and the parents were so engaged in that.
Okay,
So
we have something else here. As I said, you're not just doing shoes, you're not just doing books. What about this one? I see this looks like a parent holding a computer.
This is our first digital initiative that we did with in partnership with Comcast and in partnership with the Trenton Digital Initiative, where 50 families received computers for their homes that they would own and keep. And that was our first digital initiative. And we built on that digital initiative where we had one of our donors, the Susan Sands Grattenberg, along with the Sands Family Foundation, sponsored 80 first graders to have in their first grade classroom laptop computers, Chromebooks. And then we did another program at the beginning of before the pandemic in 2019. We did another program called the Fourth Grade Digital Initiative, where 70 fourth graders and their parents went to a series of training workshops on how to use the Chromebook at home and how to build learning competencies. And those 70 children got to keep those Chromebooks. So to own them, that was the first time ever in the district that children were owning their own Chromebooks given by the private sector. And as a result, when the pandemic hit, we had 70 kids who already had Chromebooks of their own, and they didn't have to wait to get online. They were already online.
So what you're doing, it sounds like what you're doing, and going back to those statistics that you stated earlier about the 60% and the 65%, what you're doing with the center, it sounds as if you are making a difference. Because Wanda, I believe that even if you do it for 10 students, 5 families, they're going to influence others.
Yes, exactly.
Go in a positive way, in a positive manner. So that's amazing that's actually happening. So again, here is a mom with a tiny baby. So what is this about? You all go from womb to grave. What's that about?
Well, it's all about understanding that literacy starts in the womb, and it starts in the arms of a parent. And so in our portfolio of books, and it's over 80,000 books invested in the families that we serve in Trenton, Camden, Newark, Chattanooga, Tennessee, Wakulla County, Florida. I'm trying to think of some other places that we've done books, but we have been very intentional about getting books to that preschooler, to that infant. And I would say of the books that we've given out, about a good 20% have been towards the preschool learner. And although we don't talk about it a lot on our website, but we inspire children to read to their younger siblings. And so we do have photographs of that happening, and they love it. They love when we do a book fair, a book festival, which all the books are free. they love selecting books to take home to give to their younger children, younger brothers and sisters.
This sounds like such a major undertaking. So
Mhm.
how is the Center for Child and Family Development maintained? How is
Well,
how is it staying afloat?
it's maintained through our core principle of, faith in God, knowing that we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us and gives us guidance. And it's staying afloat through strategic partnerships, as I mentioned, with individuals who I knew in the business world prior to establishing CCFA, who believe in what we do, a board that's committed to bringing their relationships. So it's all about relationships. We do not seek government or public funding. We are endowed all through private philanthropy and through partnerships that provide resources such as uniforms to children. One Simple Wish is one of our partners. So Christine's Hope for Kids, United Way, um, so many other partners who are with us on this journey, who support us. Bridge of Books Foundation, um, you know, um, First Books, the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts. We are partners with them. Mercer County Park Commission works with us very closely in providing scholarships for children to go to summer camps. Princeton Blairstown is one of our partners for summer camps. We focus very intentionally in the past 4 years on summer camp experience as being one of the major encounters that a child must have in order to strengthen their learning. So we focus on STEM. So it's all about partnerships. It's all
Okay.
about who we see as investors, social investors in our work, who endow this work to go forward. It's about volunteers. Our parent partners do a lot of the legwork and a lot of the putting together logistics of what we do. Rutgers University, partnering with the college community. Princeton University is one of my major partners. The seminary, Princeton Theological Seminary, we host interns to work with us. So we have a wonderful network of like-minded people who share our vision and embrace our creed, God our hope, books our weapon, education our victory.
I
So
love
it
that.
really is about faith. It really is all about people who love to help. We have a group in Lambertville, Gary Toth, who's one of our donors, and the Lambertville Hopewell Social Justice group, and they raise funds for our buses for the summer camp program. And they've helped us with our coat drives and our faith-based partners like Nassau Christian Center. With 1 year, we did over 400 brand new coats to children in one school. So we have many faith-based partners, Word Alive Center.
So
Who
why
work,
I
they,
want how do
they
you so the board members, how was the board established?
relationships, people that we know, people who um, are like-minded in their faith, in their optimism, in their passion to help children. People who I shared the proof of concept with and said, this is what I would like to do. Do you want to be a part of it? And everyone said, yes, we want to be a part of this vision. And so that's really how we build our team. Our team is built on a shared mission, a shared vision, and a passion for the child learner who lives in poverty, who's primarily the Black child and the Hispanic child, to touch their lives in meaningful ways, and their parents. So people who believe in what we're doing and believe in our children. That's really.
Yeah, I like that. And it is, as I said, it sounds like a major undertaking, but it sounds as if you have an amazing network of people who see the vision, believe in the vision, and have supported along the way and still continue to do so. And is making a difference. It's wonderful to see the smiles on the children's faces And I'm sure you and the board, when you see those kinds of things happening, that just gives you hope, because we know there is hope to help these children. As I said earlier, sometimes people don't do any better because of their environment. So when
Mhm.
someone gives them the exposure, you talked about the kids going to the beach or going to the play,
Mhm.
uh, things that for some kids is just normal. It's just what they do.
Mhm.
And the infants, the parents, and the infancy program, there are parents who start reading to their kids while they're in the womb.
Mhm.
So, you've brought that attention to parents. And as I said, it'll just, this is a good snowball kind of thing, because there are children who will tell their friends who may not be a part of yet, or they will tell their siblings. So this is major.
Yes, it is. We're having a wonderful time. Just last week, we had 12 children who participated in a day at the stables with the Mercer County Stables, and they went to learn about horses, and they rode on horses for 2 hours. They learned about horses and they engaged in horses. And so these are life transformative experiences, and particularly for a child who has to mitigate special needs and who has ADHD and dealing with Asperger's. We had some of the children who came from that experience. And so it's all about exposure. And many of the children that we work with since 2014, we are still connected to those families. Um, those group of children who start out with me in Trenton Head Start, some of them went to summer camp at the Watershed Nature Camp, who's one of our newest camp partners, that gave us the opportunity for scholarships for 2 weeks for over 35 children. And so that was amazing. And many of our children participated in more than one camp experience, more than one activity this summer. And each child got a camp bag that included books and educational games. And of course, always popcorn and candy. I love to give kids
Yes.
popcorn, get their popcorn and eat. But all of these things to inspire learning is what we're all about, and to encourage the parent, because parents are carrying a heavy burden. The pandemic is not over. And
Exactly.
the Black child learner who lives in poverty in America is impacted 10 times worse than any other child and lagging behind in educational competencies. And we need to be aware that there are things that we can do to support school districts. I am a partner in every school district that we have programming. We love public schools. We honor the administrators and the teachers. We would not have been able to do it without the leadership of these educators who allow us to come and work with them. And so we're here to supplement and enhance their work, um, and to encourage parents and children to go forward.
Well,
That's
you listed a number of places throughout the country where you all are impacting. So so when you do that, you are planting seeds in different places, and you
right.
will see it grow. And you mentioned also that some of the students who were in Head Start in 2014, you still have a connection with them. So it's
Absolutely.
not that you start something with the student, give them something, a one-time favor, throw them out there on their own, and they have to figure out. But it sounds as if you try to maintain some degree of connection, of support.
Yes, we do, Sharon. That's very critical. Children that we started out in 2014 and children that I started out in 2016, those are two key milestones. We still are connected to them. Last summer, I hired a group of 6 peer leaders, and those peer leaders were students who I'd been working with since my inception at Gregory School and Head Start. And we hired them to be a part of our staff at Princeton Blairstown. And we had another peer leader this summer work with us. So we believe in the continuum of relationships and connectivity to continue the theme of read to achieve. That's our mantra: read to achieve, and to inspire parents and children to have a future. As I share with you, our newest partner is an elementary school in the south side of Chicago. We're not ready to announce the school yet because I haven't spoken with the principal. but I'm already connected to the classroom teacher. It will be a first grade classroom, and we've already sent them supplies for school. And we're going to be sending them some things to create learning reading circles in their classroom. So we're really excited about that.
Wanda, I'm sure that viewers and listeners will want to know how they can connect, what they can do, how they can help. What is some contact information? And I don't think I put it on the slide, but how could they get in touch with the Center for Children and Family Achievement?
Well, they can go to our website, which is www.cfatrenton.com.
You know, I think I'm going to make it a point to
Trenton.org, I'm sorry, Trenton.org. www.ccfatrenton.org. That's our website. Okay. www.ccfatrenton.org. And they can also call me at 609-903-1157. And we would be delighted to share anything about our journey and have them engage in partnering with us. I didn't mention this chess sets and art kits that we give out. Again, all of that to mitigate the trauma and inspire learning. Also, Sleep to Achieve, we partnered with Ashley Home Furnitures and gave 10 beds to 10 children, along with Melissa Oliver at Odyssey International Productions. We gave families beds for 10 children and bedding for them to inspire sleep. A good night's sleep inspires a good day of learning. We've given away bikes to achieve, bikes and helmets. Some children got their first bike. It was a delight to see a 12-year-old boy learn how to ride a bike at one of our bike giveaways and own his first bike and helmet. We partner with Turner Construction is one of our partners who's supported us with our literacy village. And they came to the school and did improvements in the building and improvements on the playground, and have donated hundreds of books to our students and various resources. So we have many wonderful partners. Sleeping bags and pajamas. We learned through a project that we did for a movie night. We gave this one family of boys sleeping bags. And I said to them, how did you like your sleeping bag? He said, Miss Wanda, I sleep on it every night. It's my bed. And so I began to ask him questions and found out that there were children who needed beds. And so we started a sleeping bag initiative where we gave sleeping bags to a few boys who we knew were sharing beds with their siblings. And so it's all about listening, learning, and leading, and knowing that if we love children and we love people and we love God, He will make it all possible. And that's really the catalyst for our work.
And I appreciate that. And I know other people will as well. Wanda Stansbury, Director of the Center for Children and Family Empowerment. Thank you so much for being here. This is such an inspiring story. And I appreciate your time. I appreciate the work. It's amazing what one person can do to inspire others and to inspire parents. I'm excited about the partnership that you have with the parents.
Yes, parents are essential. And
Yes.
let me say about parents during this pandemic. The public school parent, the parent who lives in poverty, the Black child parent is going through a lot of difficulty now with the economics of the pandemic, with the challenges of virtual learning. And this school year will probably be the first time the classroom is fully opened and will be just no disruptions. But this parent, we were there at the very beginning of the pandemic with all of the activities, giving away food, helping during that first summer. Parents are challenged emotionally now. There's a lot of trauma in the home. There's a lot of depression. There are a lot of mental health issues. But at the same time, There are wonderful parents who are fully engaged, who are open, who are eager for help, eager for and grateful for all that anyone can do to help mitigate their reality, the reality of poverty, the reality of how hard it is to make ends meet during this pandemic. And parents are so powerful. And when you see a parent and a child for the first time sit together in a workshop in a school, or sit together in a theater and watch a Christmas Carol, or get on a bus and go to Blairstown, it begins to create a culture of learning and achieving and family unity and strength. And families need a lot of support today.
And it just it actually cuts off generational maladies that have just gone on for generations. So thank you so much, Wanda Stansbury. Thank you to your staff. Thank you to all of the partners. Thank you to the schools and the administrators, and for the people who are partnering, and for the parents who are saying, yes, I don't understand everything, but I'm so happy that you're here to help. So thank you, Wanda, for your time. I really appreciate it. I know you are a busy lady, but thank you so much for all that you're doing for humanity, for helping people. And thank you for listening and watching. Again, I'm Sharon Benjamin with Leafless, Not Lifeless. Please reach out to me at leaflessnotlifeless@gmail.com if you have a story to share of a time when you were leafless, others thought you were not growing, but you were developing, or if you are helping someone else to grow. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to share your story. Leaflessnotlifeless@gmail.com. Leaflessnotlifeless@gmail.com. Thank you for watching, and thank you for listening. And I will see you the next time right here on Leafless Not Lifeless with Sharon Benjamin. Have a great one.